Well, you see, Kyle, this is not sex. This is corpse party. This is not corpse
In the
party.
hole, you stupid pipe. Wait a minute.
Why is it still playing?
That's therapy worthy.
There we go. Okay. This is not corpse party either. This is something even better. Are you ready? Are you ready, everyone? Take a deep breath. Get ready to say it. Get ready. No, don't say that. Don't say that. What you need to say, why isn't it opening? Uh-oh. Why isn't divorce papers opening? I mean, where are my divorce papers? I ordered them just a few seconds ago. There we go. Okay. Is this the right one? No. I think I opened it 3 times by mistake. Yeah, I think I opened it 3 times by mistake. Hang on, bear with me here. I can fix this. I think. There we go. There we go. Just one divorce paper. Okay. As I was saying, this is not sex. It's not corpse party either. It is Saduel Dwyer Ace Attorney divorce papers. Last time we streamed, we did the first 2 chapters, so now we're going to kick it off with episode 3, Turnabout Restaurant. I wonder what wacky zany adventures will be in this episode of Divorce Papers 4. Dots. I have been watching him for some time now. He has strayed from the path I set foot for him. His knowledge has drawn him to a path no mortal should follow. Perhaps I should have not told him of the Divorce Stone legend. I have certainly gone into this with haste when I shouldn't have. I forgot the man he used to be. But enough of this. It might be time for me to make my return. I will have to take a new form that he has not seen before. The world would be a better place without him. Glad you've been enjoying this. This is an experience. This is such a fun experience. It's got that perfect meld of shitpost and cohesion. Every time I set foot in this courthouse, I feel nostalgic. No matter if it is for defending someone or helping someone get divorce papers. Yet I feel worried. Why? I have nothing to worry about. My partner has secured both the purple and secret pink stones. Dan has no way to get them all. I don't know his plan, but it surely can't be good. The man that approached me and told me of the legend told me what I need to do, and I'm not doing it. I don't care what he says. I have no way to get the stones Dan has already collected. My own plan cannot be done without his stones, but our goals surely don't meet. Did you read the README? I did not know that there was a README. We need to take a look at this README really quick. Hang on. Let me see if I can find this README. Okay, README. Hey guys, Sam Dwyer here. Thank you for playing Divorce Papers, the game. Fan-made recreation of Ace Attorney with my own story. I explain in the first case on how to play in case you haven't played any Ace Attorney games. The character sprites used in this game may contain spoilers for Capcom's Ace Attorney franchise. This game has produced no income, no intent. Okay, simply a passion project. Oh, shit. I should probably open it with something other than Notepad. WordPad. Everybody loves WordPad. And the 5 years it takes to open. Let's try it a second time. Surely nothing bad will happen. But in the meantime, we'll just keep reading from here. Taken 10 months to make, really happy with how it turned out. While making this, I only intend to let the friends I was dedicating this to be able to play it, but I've decided to let anyone be able to. This game is technically Divorce Papers 4, and this game was made with the intention that you understand Divorce Papers 1 through 3. These weren't games, rather an image series. Divorce Papers 1 through 3 is sadly not available to the public, but I explain the premise at the bottom of this README. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, let's take a look. Can we zoom in? Let's see if we can zoom in. Yeah, here we go. Fair warning, a lot of the jokes and references you may not know. This game was meant for my high school friends back home, so I apologize if you miss out on some of the references. Find any bugs or spelling mistakes or whatever, let me know. I appreciate it. I do know that unplugging and plugging headphones in can cause issues, so make sure you have it plugged in if you want before you start the game. If you have any issues, a glitch you found, stumped or something, or want to chat. Docs. Portfolio page in case you want to see my other work. There it is right there. Screenshot it because I'm not going back to it later. Prepare yourself before reading these summaries. It's a lot in just a few sentences. Divorce Papers 1. Zach Renezeski, I don't know how to pronounce that, asks Saduel Dwyer, a divorce and defense lawyer, to help him get divorce papers. Zach divorces Amy from the Sonic series. Zach then gets with Jack Frost from the Persona series. Divorce Papers 2. Daniel Evans asks Saduel Dwyer to help him get divorce papers. Dan wants to divorce Goku. I don't know why the fuck you would want to divorce Kakarot, but whatever. Dan is trying to divorce all of the divorce stone holders, and Goku is one of them. Okay, there it is. If you divorce a stone holder, you will receive a stone similar to the Infinity Stones. You can only get the stone once. The divorce stone holders are Goku, Margaret Thatcher, Owen Madigan II, Yukiko, the Green Ninja, and Girlfriend from Hotline Miami. David Lockster ends up making Dan's divorce papers null and void, so the divorce never happens. Dan figures out that it must have been Dwyer pulling the strings. Divorce Papers 3. Matthew Wunderlich asks Saduel Dwyer to help him get divorce papers. Matthew is a schizophrenic, and the wife he is divorcing doesn't exist. Interesting. The trial for the divorce for the papers is stopped due to Mr. Evans. Mr. Evans and prosecutor Corte try to accuse Dwyer of stopping Dan's plan with the divorce stones. During the trial, we find out Zach is working with Dwyer and that divorcing Amy produced the secret pink divorce stone. Dwyer and Zach flee the scene with Dan and Corte in pursuit. Big fight happens. Dwyer ends up snatching the gauntlet from Dan, giving him all the divorce stones in hand. Dwyer snaps, causing all married couples to vanish, similar to Infinity War. Judge Owen Madigan vanishes, Zach and Jack Frost vanish, and every other couple vanishes. Dwyer goes through a portal, never to be seen again. He won. All right, so let's see how Divorce Papers 4 fits into all this. It's better to have this advantage, plus my goal doesn't 100% need to happen. I got a little carried away there. To the people, I'm a simple divorce and defense attorney, nothing more. Who is my client today? Oh yeah, we had the same last name, yet no relation. Interesting. Here he comes. I assume you are my client? Yes, sir. You might have heard of me, Patrick Dwyer. I've only heard of you because you are my client. Maybe you have heard my other name. P. Diddy. No, I haven't. Damn, I guess the channel isn't as popular as I thought. I really hope we aren't related. Well, I can assure you that everything is going to be okay. I believe in my clients. Thanks, man. I just hate putting you up to this. Good old Jack has your thanks. Jack? As in Jack Dwyer? Yeah, my father is sort of a legend these days. Hey, the trial is starting soon! Watch it in there, Dwyer. I hear the prosecutor is none other than the infamous egomaniac. So I've heard. And don't worry, I've been against him in court already. My first case, actually. Really? That's cool. Should be an easy win then. I never said I won. And no, this will not be an easy win. He certainly is a tough opponent. Let's just say he is good at fixing errors. I really wish I didn't have to face off against him. But oh well, nothing I can do about it. I wonder who we will be facing today in court. Oh, it's him again. I think. Hello. Court is now in session for the trial of Patrick Dwyer. Are the defense and prosecution ready? The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready. This is very interesting. It would seem that we have both an amazing defense and an amazing prosecution for this trial. This will certainly be a trial to remember. Ryan Jones, a truly gifted prosecutor, and don't even mention his coding skills. Saduel Dwyer. It would seem we meet again in the courtroom. It would seem we have, Mr. Jones. How's your server coming along? That's none of your concern, Dwyer. How's the game you have been making? Currently working on Chapter 3. What? Last time I asked, you were on Chapter 4. Oh well, sucks to suck. Let's just hope this trial doesn't end like last time. I almost forgot how that trial ended. I remember now. That was both of your guys' first time in court. Well, enough remembering the past. Let us begin. Your opening statement, Mr. Jones. Yes, Your Honor. Our crime scene takes place at the Pasta House Company. The body was discovered in the kitchen of the restaurant. The body belonged to an individual named Scott Selke. He had 2 part-time jobs. One was at the restaurant in question. The other was a place called Andy's Frozen Custard, just about a mile away from this restaurant. He worked the night shift at Andy's the night before, and he had the morning shift at the Pasta House Company the morning of the murder. Here is the victim's autopsy report. Okay. The victim was the store manager for the day, so he was the first on the scene. How can we confirm this? We are able to prove this because the manager the previous night locked up the store. There was no one in the restaurant overnight, and only managers are equipped with a key. We can also confirm this because cameras showed no one entering and leaving the restaurant. From the camera in front of the store, we can see through the glass Mr. Selke. We are able to see him wearing a black shirt and hat. All managers wear a black shirt when they work, so this must be Mr. Selke. We can also see him unlocking the front door, yet he doesn't enter it. There's a door on the east side of the building, but this is only an exit door. We can assume he entered through the back door that leads to the kitchen. With this knowledge, we can basically confirm that Mr. Selke was the first on the scene. We have here the floor plans for the restaurant in question. The court accepts these plans. Just so you know, restaurant in almost every single case that's come up so far has been spelled incorrectly. There's an A either before or after the U. Now for the others on the scene. There were 2 others that arrived on the scene after Mr. Selke did. One was obviously the defendant, Patrick Dwyer, the cook for the morning. The other was another worker named Imani Fredboat, the server for the morning. We will hear the testimony of her later. In order to get more information, I would like to call Detective Polt on the stand. Very well. I call the lead detective on the case to the stand. Witness, state your name and occupation. Alexander Polt, sir. As Mr. Jones said, I'm the lead detective on the case. If it isn't our favorite detective around the block. You've been working real hard these days, Mr. Polt. Yeah, well, gotta pay rent somehow. Plus, that new Kirby game came out. You kinda wanna get it. Yes, I intend to buy that as well. As do I, Your Honor. It's rude to interrupt other people's conversation, Mr. Dwyer. Noted, Your Honor. Now, what quick details can you give to us about the case, Mr. Darth Maul's balls? Is it alright if I call you that? It's alright. It's an inside joke. Surprised you know about it, though. I would like to mention that the victim was shot from a .22 caliber. I'll talk more about the gun in my testimony, but I will submit it to the court right now. The court accepts the gun as evidence. Pistol has been added to the court record. Mr. Polt, give us your testimony of what you believe transpired on the day of the murder. Yes, Your Honor. Witness testimony time! The body was found in the kitchen of the restaurant. No one has had access to the building other than him until he unlocked the doors. This leads us to believe that one of the two workers killed Mr. Selke. The kitchen back door was locked, meaning no one could leave through that door. The gun was fired point blank at Mr. Selke and was shot in Mr. Dwyer's right hand. So the back door was locked from the inside and cameras didn't show anyone else. Yes, Your Honor. There is a camera outside the kitchen, and the last person it shows walking in is Mr. Dwyer. Because the back door was locked from the inside, it means that no one used it to leave. This all makes sense, but Mr. Dwyer here has a right to cross-examine Mr. Polt. And to make things easier for us, let's start addressing the defendant as Patrick. There's too many Dwyers in the court right now. My head hurts. Go ahead and get going, Mr. Dwyer. Yes, Your Honor. Let's go. Cross-examination time. Body was found in the kitchen of the... Okay, let's... Crown Raikou, thank you for the follow. Welcome to this stream. And one of the greatest visual novels ever made. Let's see here. Murder weapon. Bears Patrick. Ooh, uh-oh. That's not good. Has his right fingerprints. How are you, homie? We're doing okay today. Been getting a lot of backlogged footage. Like all the way from like a year plus ago. Been working on editing all that. Let's take a look at the floor plans. So the murder happened on the X there. Restroom. That's going to be important. That's going to be important. It was good seeing you Saturday. It was good seeing everyone too. It's a shame that it was at an event of that nature. It could have been a lot better, I'll admit. Sat around for 3 hours to play a total of no matches. Yeah, that was one of the most chaotic, not to be an asshole here, but worst run events I've ever been to. But anyway, divorce papers. Okay, so that's the entrance at the bottom there. Parking lot over here. Restroom, tables. So the murder happened here. There's got to be something to... Okay, body was found in the kitchen. Ooh, let's take a look. Unknown. So we don't know for sure the time of death. That's going to be something I need to bring up later. Found cold. Okay, so it's entirely possible that there was no, it's not entirely possible. It is basically confirmed here with body was found cold that there had to have been a huge gap of time between when the death happened and when the body was found. I don't think I can bring any of these up now, so I'm just going to press. So the victim was found in the kitchen at the back part of the restaurant. Yes, the victim was lying down in the freezer of the kitchen, dead. Oh! Freezer. Okay, that throws out my theory out the window, though. Then. The autopsy report doesn't have an exact time range. Is there a reason for this? Well, the freezer is pretty chilly, wouldn't you think? Do you know how temperature affects a dead body, Mr. Dwyer? In the senior year, we learned that the time of death is usually determined by the body temp. But can being in the freezer really affect the time of death that much? Assuming normal conditions, a body loses 1.5 degrees Fahrenheit per hour. But even if the body was in the freezer for a few minutes, this changes things. The time of death doesn't matter since we can clearly see the victim arrive on the scene. No, I was an asshole and didn't care. That TO started it with telling me to calm down after forcing me to switch control. Okay. Forcing you to switch controllers in dubs, that's kind of messed up. And I don't know, the way I thought of that TO did not help by him calling out Austin for using what's it called? A fight box? Yeah, exactly. Into a megaphone, no less. The switch, yeah. Into a megaphone, no less. So not only are you putting someone on blast for something that doesn't fucking matter, you're hurting people's ears because there were setups right by the guy. Anyway, no one had access to enter the building other than him until he unlocked the doors. Let's hear more about this. As we have said, Mr. Selke was on the scene first. From what we see from the front camera, he unlocks the front doors. He doesn't enter them, making us assume he unlocked the back door and entered there. And from what you said, the back door was locked. Why would he enter through there if he was just going to lock the door back up? That is an irrelevant question. Another fact, Mr. Polt would not know the answer to that question. The only one that would know is Mr. Selke, and he is clearly dead. Was there really no reason for him to enter through the back door? Mr. Jones is right. I wouldn't know. One thing I do know is that only 2 people entered the front door to the restaurant. Patrick and Miss Fredboat. This isn't looking good. This leads us to believe that one of the 2 other workers killed Mr. Selke. What makes you say this, Detective Polt? The victim was obviously killed by a gunshot, meaning that obviously a gunshot was heard. From what was said to us, Miss Fredboat went to the bathroom when they arrived on the scene. Patrick even confirmed this, that Miss Fredboat went to the restroom when they arrived, which leaves Patrick somewhere else in the restaurant, and he claims the dining room. Both claim they heard a gunshot about a minute after walking into the restaurant. According to Patrick, he ran into the kitchen to see if Mr. Selke was all right. He hadn't seen him at all, so he assumed he was near the source of the gunfire. What he said he was greeted to was a gun and a key on the floor outside the freezer. He picked up the gun, opened the freezer, and saw Mr. Selke, which was when Miss Fredboat came in. What? There was so much information there, and there's one thing that caught my eye. What might that be, Mr. Dwyer? We aren't certain the gunshot came from the kitchen. Are you stupid, Mr. Dwyer? That was what you came up with after that dramatic entrance? Elaborate, Mr. Jones. Mr. Dwyer, do you recall where Mr. Polt said the gun was found? Even your own client said this. Are you that forgetful? It was found in the kitchen. Yeah, I guess you are right. The gunshot came from the kitchen. Well, Patrick picked up the gun, which explains why his fingerprints are on the gun. Okay, and? Even without the fingerprint confirmation, he would still be suspect number 1. Yeah, I guess you're right on that too. I must say, Mr. Jones, you really are causing Mr. Dwyer to struggle today. Thank you, Your Honor. Let's get back to the cross-examination. The kitchen back door was locked, meaning no one could leave through that door. And we are to assume Mr. Selke locked this door with his own key. For what we understand, yes. Why would anyone else like it? From what we see from the camera, Patrick was the last one to enter the kitchen. And we saw no one leave the kitchen that entire day. I mean, who else could have killed Mr. Selke? Another thing to bring up is that Mr. Selke's key was found on the kitchen floor. So it's not like it was stolen or anything. It's not likely that his key was stolen in general. If that's the case, why was it found on the floor and not on his person? Where was the gunshot wound? I think it was his chest. Let me check, though. Yeah, to the chest, died instantly. This might be a stretch, but I think Mr. Selke killed himself. I have no base for this, but I've just got a feeling that that's the twist for this case. Does that really matter in the grand scheme of things, Mr. Dwyer? No, I guess not. The gun was fired point blank at Mr. Selke and was shot in Patrick's right hand. How can you tell that the victim was killed at point blank range? Gunpowder burn. When a gun is fired, powder is expelled from the muzzle of the firearm. This same powder was found around the gunshot wound on Mr. Selke's body. I understand that logic. Now that I think about it, we learned that in forensics senior year. What about the bullet that killed Mr. Selke? The bullet was found still inside the victim, which is rare to happen at point-blank range. I'm looking at the gun's description, and it says that the gun was fired twice. That's... Should this be something that we worry about? Because only one gunshot was heard? We are able to discover that the gun has only been used twice. It looks pretty new, and we discovered grooves in the muzzle indicating 2 shots fired. But this doesn't mean that the other shot was fired on the same day. It could easily have been fired days ago, or even years ago. Okay. But one thing is for sure. That gun was used on the day in question. The gun was warm and gave off the scent of gunpowder. Okay, I gotta blow my nose. Actually, I'll mute myself while I do it. Okay. Yeah, it was shot twice, but there's no proof that the gun was fired twice that day. So, it's weird. This case is gonna be weird. Oh wait, I already pressed this. What am I doing? Speedrunning tactics. Freezer's pretty chilly. The average speed run of this game is around 6 hours. Wow. Access to the building other than him until he unlocked the doors. No, I can't really present anything here. Leads us to believe that one of the 2 other workers killed Mr. Selke. Kitchen back door was locked, meaning no one could leave through that door. Let's see what happens when I present the floor plans here. Nope, bad. Nope, didn't work. Oh, actually, Your Honor, I believe I just found something. He's clearly lying, Your Honor. He's stalling to come up with something. All right, Dwyer, what do you find strange about what Mr. Polt has said? Do I find anything strange about Mr. Polt's testimony? If I can knock down one of the main arguments of the testimony, then maybe I can turn this cross-examination around. I don't think the back door was really locked. How about this perspective? If the back door wasn't locked, the killer could easily leave without notice. Thus, when Patrick walked in the scene, he easily... You honestly think that we would believe this story? The door was locked when the police came to the scene. What if someone locked it after the victim was killed? Explain, Mr. Dwyer. What are you playing at? Let's say Miss Fredboat locked the door using the key that was on the kitchen floor. Thus, the killer would escape without notice. Why is it so quiet? Was I right? That was terrible. You think we are that stupid to believe that? Why would Miss Fredboat lock the door? That would mean she is the killer, but even Patrick said she went to the restroom. Also, Patrick and Miss Fredboat both said that the door was locked. They both checked when they waited for the police to arrive on the scene. I wish I would have known that. It would seem Mr. Dwyer has failed yet again. As it would turn out, nothing Mr. Polt said can be contradicted. Actually, Your Honor, I believe I just found some. Okay. Other than eyewitness testimony, we don't have evidence about the restroom, so I'll bring that up. Okay, let's, let me see the choices again. What if Imani Fredboat never really went to the restroom? Therefore, everything she claimed would be null and void. Which means that she could have been somewhere else at the scene. They're gonna laugh at me again, aren't they? Yup, they're gonna laugh at me. That was okay, so it's the first one. When they arrived. Plus, the dining room is between the kitchen and the restroom. Patrick would obviously see if she left and shot the victim in the kitchen. Yet, he did not testify this. It would seem Mr. Dwyer has failed yet again. As it would turn out, no, there's one thing. There's one thing. I just need to get to it. Fun fact about Imani, that was our server's name at the... Oh, okay, we made her last name the bot in our Discord. Do I find anything strange? I think I do. I think I do find something a little bit peculiar, a little bit suspicious. One thing we have all assumed is that no one left the kitchen. The court has heard that the camera outside the kitchen captured no one leaving it. But what if someone did in fact leave the kitchen? As you just said 2 sentences ago, the camera captured no one leaving that room. What possible evidence could you use to prove that someone left the kitchen? Not the divorce badge. I don't think it would be the autopsy report. So, the floor plans? Members of the court, I would like you to look at the floor plans for the restaurant. In it, we can see the camera that we have been talking about, north of the restaurant. What were to happen to the line of sight of the camera if the door was open? Wait a second. As Your Honor has already noticed, it is possible to leave the kitchen without the camera seeing you. What? No, hang on just a minute. No, you hang on a minute, detective. Upon looking at the floor plans, we can see that if the door is ajar, the view is blocked. So of course the camera wouldn't pick up anybody leaving the kitchen. You think you can beat me that easily, Saduel? Even if we couldn't see anyone leaving the kitchen, the camera would still pick up someone opening the door, blocking it. Damn it, he's right. If someone opened the door and exited the kitchen, the camera would notice the door opening. I have a theory. What if the door never closed? Then the camera wouldn't pick up anyone at all. Ah, I guess that's fair logic, but Mr. Polt would have said something if that were true. May I speak up about the matter? Go ahead, Detective. From the footage we collected, the kitchen door never closes on the day in question. What? What? Uh-oh. Looks like someone didn't mention something. Detective, is this true? Yes, Mr. Dwyer's theory could be true. Why wasn't I informed of this information? I guess Mr. Jones never saw any of the footage from the cameras. That might include the camera in front of the restaurant. I'm sorry, Ryan, but it didn't seem like information to bring up. Whatever. You might be getting salary cuts next week because of this. Gulp. Back on track. Even if someone left the kitchen, the front camera didn't see anyone leave, and nothing blocks that camera's view. Actually, there is one way the killer could leave the restaurant other than the front. What? There's a side door in the restaurant on the east side. The killer could easily escape using that door and evade every camera. I'm grasping at straws here, Mr. Dwyer. I'm at my limit. But answer me this. If someone else shot the victim and ran out into the dining room, your own client would have noticed them fleeing. And on top of that, Miss Fredboat came running out seconds after and saw no one else. How do you like that, Mr. Dwyer? Bruh, this sucks. It would seem that Mr. Jones has knocked down Mr. Dwyer's argument. Thank you, Your Honor. Even though it's established that someone could leave the kitchen and not be noticed, the defendant didn't claim that someone else was in the dining room. Therefore, it stands to reason that no one left the kitchen. Yeah, he really just said, bruh, I just read the text that was on the screen, man. He said it again! I could have sworn I was onto something. Detective, you may now step down from the witness stand. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Jones, you may now call on your next witness. The bruh, James. The prosecution calls Miss Imani Fredboat to the stand. Bailiff, bring Miss Fredboat to the stand. What? That's a robot! Witness, state your name and occupation. Imani Fredboat. I'm a server at the Pasta House Company. Witness, are you inside that thing? Apologies for this inconvenience, Your Honor. The witness is feeling under the weather, but we managed to phone her in on this device. Apologies, Your Honor. It is all right, Miss Fredboat. I wouldn't want you getting me sick. You have my permission, though, to get Mr. Dwyer sick. As do I. I'm literally just doing my job. Putting that matter aside, I'm led to believe you were at the restaurant when the crime occurred. That's right, Your Honor. Witness, you will now explain to the court what you saw happen on the day of the murder. Yes, Your Honor. Testimony time. When Patrick and I arrived, I went straight to the restroom. I was in there for about a minute, and then I heard a gunshot. I ran out of the bathroom and straight to the kitchen. Patrick was holding a gun and looking straight at Mr. Selke's body. The police were called, and I made sure Patrick didn't leave my sight. It must have been a horrible experience to go through. A lot of this information isn't new to the court, but thank you for addressing what you saw. Everything she said in her testimony has already been said. I'm gonna have to get more information out of her. Go ahead with the cross-examination, Mr. Dwyer. Yes, Your Honor. Here we go. What I think is, I think we're just gonna be pressing here. That is of no concern. Why is she dodging my question? Miss Fredboat, what was your reasoning to go to the restroom upon entering the building? The defense demands an answer. The defense demands no such thing. You are asking a woman what she was doing in the bathroom, and seeing as the restroom is nowhere near the kitchen, she definitely had no help in the murder. Maybe I shouldn't have asked that. I was in there for about a minute, and then I heard a gunshot. What was your reaction to hearing the gunshot? In a nutshell, my heart stopped. But I was still worried for my workers, so I quickly left the bathroom to see what happened. Even after hearing a gunshot, you still wanted to find the source? Even if that meant risking your life? Yes, Your Honor. The court commends your bravery, Miss Fredboat. You think she's the killer? I think the killer is LeBron James. I think the killer was me. I think I did it, and no one noticed. If I were you, I would have stayed in the restroom. Regardless, I left the bathroom to see if anyone was injured. I ran out of the bathroom and straight to the kitchen. How did you know to run straight to the kitchen? I just did. I saw no one in the dining room, so my next place to check was the kitchen. Did she somehow know where the gunshot came from? Miss Fredboat, the defense believes you knew where the gunshot came from. There would have been no way for you to know the gunshot came from the kitchen. As the witness has said, the dining room was empty. Both Patrick and Mr. Selke's body were in the kitchen, so no one was seen in the dining room. The prosecutor is right. I saw no one in the dining room, so I headed to the kitchen. I'm not sure if I believe this, but it could be possible. Patrick was holding a gun and looking straight at Mr. Selke's body. If I bring this up, what I'm thinking might happen if I bring the pistol up. No, nothing good will come out of it. I'm not going to go for it. Just press. Is this really what you saw? Yes, I walked through the already opened kitchen door and saw Patrick standing there, but it's also natural instinct to not run toward the source of the gunshot. But yeah, natural instinct would be, ooh, sound that is danger. I gotta get out of here. But then again, this is a robot we're talking to. He had a gun in his right hand and looked pretty shocked. I would be pretty shocked too if I just pulled a trigger. Is there anything else I should ask her about? The back door. Miss Fredboat, did you happen to check if the back door was locked? Not immediately, but yes, I did while waiting for the police. And it was locked from the inside. Yes, it was, meaning no one from the outside could get in. This caused me to 100% believe that Patrick killed our manager, especially since I didn't see anyone leave the kitchen when I ran out of the restroom. Police were called and I made sure Patrick didn't leave my sight. I want to exhaust all the options there. I want to ask about the key next. Yes, ask about the key. Miss Fredboat, did you happen to notice a key on the ground in the kitchen? Yes, I did. I noticed that it was on Mr. Selke's keychain, so I assumed it was his. It was just sitting there, minding its own business. I don't know why it was there, however. Patrick claims that it was sitting there alongside the gun when he entered the kitchen. Of course, he could be lying to us about that fact, too. I don't believe Patrick killed Mr. Selke, so I'm going to take his word on that. The gun was next to the key on the floor. Now I just want to check about Selke's body. Yeah. I want to exhaust all the options here. We do want to glean all the information possible. Yes, ask about Mr. Selke. Miss Fredboat, did you happen to get a glance at Mr. Selke's body? Yeah, it was definitely shot by a gun. His white shirt was stained all over with gun. Wait a minute. White shirt? Managers are supposed to have black shirts and black hats. That's a contradiction there. It was hard to look at him like that. It would seem that Mr. Dwyer has nothing else to add here. Actually, something caught me off guard with what she said. The shirt. Miss Fredboat, you said that you saw Mr. Selke wearing a white shirt, correct? Yes, I saw him wearing a white shirt. And on that... Did everybody just hear that? What are you talking about, Mr. Dwyer? Hear what? No, that's not possible. I fail to see what you are talking about, Mr. Dwyer. It seems Mr. Jones knows what I speak of. Yes, I do, Mr. Dwyer. Members of the court, do you remember what Mr. Jones said at the beginning of the trial? From the camera in the front of the store, we can see through the glass Mr. Selke. We are able to see him wearing a black shirt and a hat. All managers wear a black shirt when they work, so this must be Mr. Selke. Miss Amani claims that Mr. Selke was wearing a white shirt in the freezer, when he should have been wearing a black shirt. Oh no, this can't be good. Gotcha, bitch! Order in the court. Defense, do you have any proof for this claim? Why should I have any evidence? I would think the prosecution has all the evidence they need. Damn you, Saduel. That was a good trick you played on me. Are you saying I'm lying, Mr. Dwyer? I know what I saw. I believe you, Miss Fredboat, and I think Mr. Jones can agree as well. It would appear that when the police arrived, the body, in fact, was wearing a white shirt. But that means nothing. There's nothing to disagree with. Actually, there is, Mr. Jones. Even you said that the victim was wearing a black shirt. We all assumed that the man that unlocked the front door was Mr. Selke. We never could make out his face, just his attire. What are you saying, Mr. Dwyer? That the man that unlocked the front doors wasn't Mr. Selke? We saw Mr. Selke's keys being used to unlock the door. I doubt Mr. Selke would be careless to misplace his keys to someone else. I agree with Mr. Jones. Mr. Selke loved his keys so much, they were always by his side. The only way you could get them would be from his dead corpse. Someone obviously pretended to be Scott to make it seem like he unlocked the front doors. If someone else had his keys, then he could also get in through the back door, which means someone else could get inside the restaurant without being seen by cameras. On top of that, why was Mr. Selke's body in the freezer? The true culprit is trying to frame my client, but what is he trying to hide? I think Scott was already dead. Could this really be the answer? It would make a lot of sense. All the pieces would fit. But it's just speculation. I don't know if I have anything to support it. Well, Mr. Dwyer, do you have an answer as to why the victim is seen with two shirts? Two shirt colors, rather? Yes, I do, Your Honor. There is one assumption that we have all believed about Mr. Selke. When we get rid of this assumption, all of the questions can be answered. I'll take your word for it, Mr. Dwyer. So be it, but let me clarify one thing. We don't know when Mr. Selke was killed. What? Order in the court. Mr. Dwyer, what on earth can you be implying? We all assumed the victim was shot and killed in the kitchen on the day of the murder, but we never had a 100% certainty that this happened. Only because the coroner couldn't pinpoint when they died because of the body temp. That's right, and because of that, the culprit could get away with his actions. The culprit killed Mr. Selke sometime before anyone arrived on the scene. It's even possible he was killed not even at the restaurant. I don't believe this. You're right, Your Honor. I don't believe this either. I can't believe this! You better start believing then. If Mr. Selke was killed before we all thought, then the culprit would have his keys. Using them, he would be able to have access to the building. He wore the black attire to make it seem like Scott unlocked the front doors. I thought it was strange how Scott went through the back door, but apparently there was a reason. The culprit wouldn't be detected by the front camera. He then went through the back door, placed the body in the freezer to fake his time of death, then he locked the back door and proceeded to leave the restaurant via the east door. This would also explain the 2 shots fired within the gun. I know that's a lot, but that is what happened, without a doubt. May I speak up about the matter, Your Honor? Go ahead, witness. I believe Mr. Dwyer's theory can be correct. I don't see any flaws with it. You think you can beat me, Mr. Dwyer? There is one flaw with your outlandish theory. And what might that be? You claim that he was killed somewhere else and sometime before? For your theory to work, the killer would have to be out of the building when the others arrived. But what if the shot heard from the others in the area? The gun was found in the kitchen and warm. The shot came from there. Someone had to have fired it, and in that case, who? If the killer placed the body and left via the east door before the others got there, then how was a shot fired on the scene? Well, Mr. Dwyer, can you come up with an answer? I'm so close. This has to be the right track. The killer stashed Scott's body in the freezer to hide the fact he was killed earlier. He then left through the east door, placing him outside the building. But how was the gun used yet also found inside the kitchen? What if it wasn't a gunshot they heard? We're gonna have to stand up for this one. What if the shot that both Patrick and Amani heard was in fact not a gunshot? And what would you suggest made that sound? Nothing found on the scene could replicate the sound of a gunshot. And don't try to act like the gun wasn't fired. It clearly smelt like gunpowder. It seems that wasn't the answer the court wanted to hear. Okay, so that wasn't it. Scott's body in the freezer. Left through the east door. Other than the gun what if the killer shot the pistol, dropped the gun, then ran really fast to the exit? We have already established that the defendant would have noticed. Perhaps even Miss Fredboat would have noticed. The killer would have to be out of the restaurant when the others arrived. It seems that... Okay, so it was the first one. Awesome. Okay, so it was definitely... It had to have been fired outside. What if the killer shot the gun from outside? Nonsense. The gun was found in the kitchen. Why does that matter? What? What could you possibly mean? I noticed that there is a window in the kitchen. Miss Fredboat, do you happen to recall if this window was open on the day in question? It was, in fact, open, only slightly. However, a human could not fit through. But would a gun be able to go through? I suppose, yes. It all makes sense now. The gun was fired outside the building. What? I don't believe it. We broke the robot. Order! Order! Mr. Dwyer, explain. Yes, Your Honor. Scott Selke was killed at a location we don't know yet. Using his keys, the killer unlocked the building, making it seem Mr. Selke arrived. He placed him in the freezer to hide the time of death and locked the back door. He left the scene from the east door and waited for the others to arrive. He waited for about a minute before firing the gun outside the kitchen. To the people inside, it's in the same direction, so they thought it came from the kitchen. After firing the gun, he threw both the keys and the gun through the window. He did this so it would seem like the shot came from the kitchen. This also explains why both of these items were on the ground. How does that taste, Mr. Jones? Tastes great. I unfortunately cannot think of anything to contradict that. Defense, this is plausible, but where was the victim shot from? At Andy's Frozen Custard, of course. Why there? That's probably the last place the victim had been last seen alive. Plus, last time I checked, Andy's uniforms have to be a white shirt. And last I recall, the victim was wearing a white shirt. It's a custard place too, so they have deep freezers if someone were to keep a body cold. I don't believe it. This can't be happening. I believe the court should take a recess. In the meantime, let's talk about Undertale. We will prepare them to take the stand and testify, if that will help this case. We will resume in 30 minutes. Only real Hair Sturm viewers would understand that reference I just made. How was this first part of the case? It made me think, I'll tell you that much. And I was not correct on any assumptions I had. Yes, Undertale is best game. Well, I wouldn't say best game, but it is definitely peak. It is peak fiction. I really didn't think going into that trial that the case would be this crazy. Not only do I believe the body was killed a day prior to the incident at the restaurant, I also believe it took place a mile down the road at Andy's Frozen Custard. The killer must have known that Scott had a shift the next morning at the restaurant. He used that opportunity to shift the blame onto someone else. He would be able to kill him and then stash his body in the deep freezer to preserve him. Then he would carry out his plan at the restaurant and make it seem like someone else killed him. This is all an elaborate plan that could have been handled way easier. But it's never easy for me. Hey Patrick, how are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. A lot better knowing I'm being defended by you. Thanks, I tend to put on a show when I'm in the courtroom. Yes, you do. You have been doing amazing in there. Be back. Gotta go for a little watch the VOD if I'm back when the stream ends. The stream's probably gonna be up for another hour or so at least. But thank you for tuning in when you did. I can't wait to tell the wife about all this. Is she not in the gallery watching this trial? No, she had to visit the village back home. Bummer. Well, it'll make a nice story when I get you a not guilty verdict. That it will. So hey, is there anything else I should know about that you haven't told me? Let me think. I've never been to where you think the murder actually took place. I wouldn't be able to help you in terms of what I think happened. But I do know that Scott hated that place. He always talked about it while I was working with him. How so? Well, things ranged from the customers, to the pay, to the chores, to the staff. He hated it all. Damn, not even the staff? Yeah, I even remember him saying that he dirt on one of them. Something about stealing money. What did you say? Dirt on someone? Stealing money? Did I say that? Whoopsies. Maybe I shouldn't have. I'm not supposed to know anyways. Wait, Patrick, maybe that knowledge could help us. If Scott was killed by a fellow worker at Andy's because of blackmail, that's a motive. You said it was involved with stealing money? Yeah, something like that. Apparently, he caught a worker stealing money from the safe. The worker begged Scott not to tell anyone, but I suppose he kept stealing money. I assume that worker got to Scott before the authorities got to him. That makes sense. That makes sense. He killed Scott just in case he would go to the police later down the line. I better phone in my partner to get more information about this. Hopefully he can get some sort of evidence that can help me. Well, let's hope he can. Things are starting to fall into place. But it would seem that this trial is just beginning. A new place in question, and new people in question. Let's see what we can find out. June 5th, 2021, 11:30 a.m. Courtroom 2. I gotta blow my nose. Oh, shit. Okay. Hello? Court is back in session for the trial of Patrick Dwyer. In light of new information that we have gained, it is possible for the victim to have died at another location and at a different time. The defense proposed the idea that the victim was murdered at his night job the previous night, and that his body was transported to the freezer of the restaurant to fake the time of death, in which would give the killer an alibi. Is this correct, defense? Yes, Your Honor. The conclusion that he was killed at Andy's can be thought of by the victim's attire. It's not common for someone to be wearing just a white shirt, but at Andy's it's common. Their dress code calls for strictly a white shirt followed by an apron provided by the company. And since Andy's is a custard place, they have a deep freezer, which the killer could have used. It's possible he used this to stash the cold body. And what of the prosecution's position on this matter? The prosecution still firmly believes the victim was killed at the restaurant, and that this twisted tale is only true in Mr. Dwyer's mind. The true culprit that Mr. Dwyer keeps speaking of is without a doubt Patrick Dwyer. But alas, I have brought forth witnesses to disprove Mr. Dwyer's claims. 2, in fact, and they were the co-workers that worked the night Mr. Selke was last seen. Just two other workers. Usually a night during the summer would need like a total of 7. I don't run the business. They probably are running out of workers in the industry. I feel bad for the workers. It must always be busy. These workers will put an end to Mr. Dwyer's theory. I first call one of the workers to the stand, Mr. Samuel Winter. As in the Cleveland Browns player? Yes, he has a job there during the summer. I don't know the details, but something about trying to live a normal life with a normal job. Very well. The court calls this Sam Winter to the stand. I love the Cleveland Browns! Witness, state your name and occupation. Samuel Winter, Cleveland Browns player and part-time Andy's frozen custard worker. As the prosecution has already stated, you play for the Cleveland Browns in Ohio? That's strange, because Ohio does not exist. You're thinking of Wyoming, Your Honor. Yeah, probably. I have no words. Sam Winter, give your formal testimony about what happened on the night in question. Yes, sir, Your Honor. Yes, sir, Your Honor. And we will hear about this testimony after a quick break where I use the bathroom and get a bite to eat. I will be right back.
Steve?
What?
JoJo Undertale Doki Doki Literature Club.
Okay, you got me on one of those. The other two are cool and awesome.
Uh-huh. Tell that to Twitter.
Shit.
JoJo fans when the good guy beats the bad guy for the 5th time because he shoves a frog up his ass or something.
The part 2 moment.
In my office.
Hey Josh?
What?
Death. Soon.
What, are you saying like ass or something? I am going on a shopping spree tomorrow.
Emergency meeting.
Down. Didn't have enough workers.
Did you hear what happened to Jonathan? Do my nuts fit in your mouth?
Josh, go to bed. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Kirk. That's the way it is. Jeff. He's what? Jeff Kaplan is dead? No, that's not real. That's not real. You're trolling me. You're trolling me. That's not real.
I'm dying immediately. Oh.
You know, I was kidding when I said that. It's like,
Of Susie. Okay. I need just a Homer Simpson Noelle is Homer Simpson. Okay, I am going to
So is that a
sweatshirt.
Persona reference?
No, it's a it's a Christian Bale reference. You dumb idiot.
No, I think it's a Persona reference.
I think you're dumb. I think you're dumb.
Sounds like a Persona reference to me.
Yeah.
Do not agree with the Redditor. Oh, more K-pop Twitch streamer. I apologize for that. Or as we in the industry like to say, I'm so fucking sorry.
Literally trip over it and scrape your kneecap, and you'll be like,
What's this? A present?
Say what?
Is that allowed on Twitch?
I don't. Actually, I don't.
Yeah, because I'm just so important. I'm so swagger.
Screw up to you, Scries. That was
Oh!
Sigh.
Scry.
Josh, you are single-handedly the reason Steve gets no views.
He literally has.
Please go.
Let's fucking go! That was awesome!
That was so cool.
That worked out so much better than I could have imagined!
Oh my
Modern
god.
comedy. I'm a genius. I'm like Kanye West. Stretch of the imagination. Steve from Blue's Clues. Before he went to college, makes it into Fortnite, then I will play it. But seeing as that will never, ever happen, I'm never, ever going to play Fortnite. Okay? I hope someone clips that, because I will stand by that statement. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say among. I don't want that. I don't want, where's the granite? I don't want this. I gotta get rid of it. Minecraft? Yes, Josh. I called a hunch, but I think you said that already. We are going to finish Deltarune Chapter 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what Lil Yachty tastes like. Oh, insomnia. Oh my goodness! I need my Minecraft. I need... I've got 11 so far. I need more than that for a full suit. I'm gonna need a full suit. You are going to gatekeep, girl boss. Gaslight. Don't forget the gaslight. Yeah, I'm all sweaty. The baby stat. The baby? See what I tell you? He's a dumbass. Is that a frog with tentacles? Well, you see, Kyle, this is not sex. This is corpse party. It in the hole, you stupid pipe. Wait a minute.
That's therapy worthy.
Steve,
What?
JoJo, Undertale, Doki Doki Literature Club.
Okay, you got me on one of those. The other two are cool and awesome.
Uh-huh. Tell that to Twitter.
Shit.
JoJo fans when the good guy beats the bad guy for the 5th time because he shoves a frog up his ass or something.
The part 2 moment.
In my office.
Hey Josh?
What?
Death. Soon.
What are you saying, like ass or something? I am going on a shopping spree tomorrow.
Emergency meeting.
Down. Didn't have enough workers.
Did you hear what happened to Jonathan? Do my nuts fit in your mouth?
Josh, go to bed. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Kirk. That's the way it is. Jeff. He's what? Jeff Kaplan is dead? No, that's not real. That's not real. You're trolling me. You're trolling me. That's not real.
I'm dying immediately.
And we're back. Armstrong, you legit play all the games I play. We need to talk and chill more. For sure, dude, for sure. Hit me up whenever we're at the same event. Once the semester starts up, we'll probably be going to the same weeklies and shit. Anyway, time to hear about this testimony. I quite frankly don't know why I have been called to the stand. Scott Selke? Killed at our store? Not likely. A camera would have seen him get murdered. I imagine Scott clocked out perfectly fine and went home after his shift. I wasn't even the last one to see Scott anyways that night. After I left, there was still someone at the store with him. Call him to the stand. McMorty, welcome to the stream. We are playing Divorce Papers. Yeah, the prosecution mentioned another worker, right? I did. I also intend to bring him to the stand later, but right now, you are on the stand. You said that you imagined the victim clocked out last night perfectly fine? Is there evidence that the victim clocked out at all for his shift? I have here the clock out report for the entire day, Your Honor. In it, we can indeed confirm that Mr. Selke clocked out for the day among every other worker. Okay. Let's take a look at it. Okay. So it looks like Scott clocked out after everyone else. But at the same time, it's entirely possible that someone could have clocked out but still stayed at the location. There's no reason why someone couldn't do that. Okay. I had to get home early so I could play Fort all night with the boys. Unfortunately, though, Derek beat me to the Xbox and ate all of the Papa Johns. He also beat me in general, but oh my god. What good would my testimony do? That is for Mr. Dwyer to figure out. Have at it, Mr. Dwyer. No, not really. He always did complain about the job, though. Patrick mentioned this as well. I've been meaning to ask, you're a star football player, right? That's right. Why are you working at a custard shop, then? You clearly have a good paying salary already. Well, when you get as popular as me, you forget what it's like to have a normal life. I simply want to live amongst the common people instead of above them. Well, aren't you such a nice gentleman? I try my best, Your Honor. Scott Selke? Killed at our store? Not likely. A camera would have seen him get... Okay. Do you mean to say that Andy's has cameras? Yeah. All over the place. Once midnight hits, the tapes are saved and compiled into the main computer. I have here the tape that Mr. Winter can be talking about. The timestamps are for the entirety of June 3rd. From midnight to midnight, a whole 24 hours. We are only interested in the last 1 hour from 11 p.m. to 12 a.m. Because the clockout data says Scott clocked out after midnight, we can't see him leave. Instead, the last place we see him is in the office. Can we not look at the tape for the next day, June 4th? Unfortunately, no. There was apparently a storm outside at around 5 a.m. Because of the strong winds, it caused damage to the reception that links the cameras. There's apparently a little tower that links all the cameras together on the roof. So unfortunately, we cannot see the actions of Mr. Selke during the hour he clocked out. But this tape does confirm that Scott was at least alive when the clock struck midnight. Mr. Jones, do you happen to have floor plans for the establishment? As a matter of fact, I do. Do you want me to submit them to the court? Yes, I would very much like that. Okay, let's take a look at these things that have been submitted. Okay. That might be useful if someone tries to contradict that Scott was alive at that time. Let's take a look at the floor plans. So I would imagine that this would be the entrance. This would be the dining area. People would order here, offices over here, exit, exit. This would be like a storeroom of, and then these must be the cameras. Okay. Okay, let's take a look. On the map, the O stands for office and the F stands for freezer. Let's get back to the testimony at hand. That was a lot of information that was given to the court. I better make sure I got all of that. I imagine Scott clocked out perfectly fine and went home after his shift. As we can clearly see from the report, Scott clocked out a little after midnight. What's the process of clocking out? It's standard business. You go to the register in front of the store and put in your code. Every employee has a certain code that only they know. So it's not like someone else clocked Scott out. He had to do it. However, since he was the manager, he had to clock out last. Why's that? As manager, you have to count the drawers, make sure everything is clean, all that stuff. Once everything is done, they have to do a manager's check around the store. He's got to make sure the store is able to close in the state it's in. I don't know why we're still on this line of thinking, Mr. Dwyer. I don't see how Mr. Selke could have been killed at the store if he clocked out. He only would have if he was the only one left. Another thing is that once you leave the store after 11 p.m., you can't get back in. So it's not like someone left then came back. My whole argument rests on the fact that Scott wasn't alone that night when he clocked out. Something had to have happened that night. I wasn't even the last one to see Scott anyways that night. Okay, your winter. Let's take a look. Yeah, Eugene clocked out after Samuel. Okay, that checks out. As we can see from the report of the employees clocking out, you were the third to last person to clock out. Yeah, as I said, Scott was still with another employee before I left. So if you are claiming an employee killed Scott, go for his throat, not mine. After I left, there was still someone at the store with him. Call him to the stand. Looking at the report, we can see the individual you are talking about. Is this the person you are talking about? Yeah, Gino Urker. That is the guy who was with Scott as I left for work. I bet you have a lot of questions for him. We'll get to his testimony after yours, Mr. Winter. But right now, we are focused on yours. Did the victim seem troubled staying with Mr. Urker? Not at all. They were just having a normal conversation when I left. Mr. Winter, you claim that there is no one to kill Scott? That there would be too many cameras hindering the ability to kill him? Yeah, there's practically no place to kill him. That's where you're wrong, Mr. Winter. What did you say? Are you blind? Can't you see the cameras all over the map Mr. Jones submitted? Believe me, I can. But the real question is, are you blind? Watch it, Dwyer. Even though you are a defense attorney, you are looking defenseless right now. What do you mean when you speak this nonsense? I'm with the witness on this one. What's your game, Saduel? Looking at the map we have been given, there is one huge area Scott could have been killed at. The freezer. What? I mean, it could be possible, yes. So what? What if he was killed in the freezer? It must have been Gino. I already left the scene. Your Honor, I believe we need to call Mr. Urker to the stand. Looking at the timestamps, Gino was the second to last person to clock out. And of course, this was followed by Scott Selke a few minutes afterwards. He could have waited for Mr. Selke to enter the freezer and could have done the deed. There's a flaw with your theory, Mr. Dwyer. Scott was confirmed alive at midnight when the cameras switched from the 3rd to the 4th. As we know, the cameras didn't capture anything after midnight. Thus, why would the killer murder Scott in the freezer if the cameras wouldn't capture him? Really, Mr. Jones? That's what you came up with? Even for you, that's bad. What? You dare? As we know, a storm hit the store around 5 a.m., knocking the power out for the cameras. How would the killer know this was going to happen? That the cameras wouldn't work? Ah, you have a point, I'll give you that. But your point is held with a string. We still have no proof Mr. Selke was killed at Andy's. If anything, we have evidence that he wasn't killed at Andy's. We still need to hear from Mr. Urker. After all, he saw the victim last. The defense is right. We should call Mr. Gino Urker to the stand. Bailiff, bring Mr. Urker to the courtroom. Oh, there he is, Mr. Gino Urker. Witness, state your name and occupation. Hi, this is Gino. My full name is Eugene Alphonse Urker IV, and I'm a part-time Andy's Frozen Custard employee. You can just call me Gino if you like. All right, Gino, you were the last one to see the victim, correct? Yes, after Mr. Winter left the store, it was just me and Scott left in the store. Scott and I were in the office, and Winter came to the door and said his goodbyes. Now that I recall, I could have sworn he was wearing an Andy's jacket. An Andy's jacket? What importance does that have? Nothing, really. It's just that it's Andy's property. It wasn't his, it's the store's. I don't know why he had it on him when he was leaving. Perhaps the man needed a jacket when he returned home. It would be kind if we could remind him to return it after the trial. Anyways, after our conversation, I clocked out and went home. Very well. State to the court your testimony for the events you saw that night. Testimony time! Yes, I agree. From your point of view, I last saw Scott alive. But I clocked out before him. You can't change that fact. Mr. Winter left before Scott and I did. We were just in the office talking. He kept going on about blackmailing a fellow coworker. After I clocked out, I left the building, got in my car, and went home. Blackmail, you say? In regards to another coworker? Yeah, I was half paying attention to what he was saying, but it didn't sound good. Did you happen to know the individual he was referring to? Nope, he never name-dropped the individual. Mr. Dwyer, before you jump to conclusions, there is no proof that Scott died at Andy's. I wouldn't advise going through this cross-examination thinking Mr. Urker killed him. Thank you, Your Honor. Either way, the floor is yours, Mr. Dwyer. With pleasure. And were you? The last to see Scott alive, that is. No, because that would mean I killed him. I'm not an idiot, Mr. Dwyer. But you agree that you are the last worker to see him alive, yes? Well, yeah. Yes, I was. Regardless, you got no proof that I was the one that kicked Scott's bucket. Clocked out before him, you can't change that fact. Yes, we can see here that it does in fact say you clocked out before Scott. But does that mean you left the building that time? You could have easily just stayed with Scott and waited for him to clock out. That is actually impossible, Mr. Dwyer. I did some reading into this, because the thought came across my mind. At Andy's, it is a strict rule that when you clock out, you have the intent to leave. The night manager cannot clock out until all other employees left the building. They must check the other rooms of the store during their manager check. So yes, when Mr. Urker and Mr. Winter clocked out, they left the store. Mr. Selke wouldn't have clocked out if they were still at the store. What he said. Damn, my nose is itchy today. Mr. Winter left before Scott and I did. We were just in the office talking. What were you talking about? As I said before, blackmail. That's right. And why were you in the office to begin with? Well, I was kind of just drawing out my clock out time so I could get slightly paid more. Scott didn't mind, as long as I was out of the building before he was done. And what of Mr. Winter? Did you see him leave? Scott and I were in the office, and Winter came to the door and said his goodbyes. He was wearing the Andy's jacket I mentioned before. Yes, I recall, but nothing else? Nope, everything seemed normal to me. Even if this guy didn't kill Scott, he always looks very suspicious. As I said that in my head, I also heard Mr. Westfall saying sus out loud. He kept going on about blackmailing a fellow co-worker. And you don't know anything about what he was talking about? Not really. Apparently someone stole money from the safe and he knew. He said he wasn't going to tell the higher-ups about it, but he changed his mind. Said he was going to tell one of them first thing after he got off work the next day. So he was planning on telling corporate after his shift at the Pasta House Company the next day. Your Honor, this is a possible motive and we should look further into this. Denied. While the witness may have said this, there is no proof of anyone stealing money. And let me remind you that there is still no proof that this crime took place at Andy's. If you want us to look into something, you are going to need conclusive proof. After I clocked out, I left the building, got in my car, and went home. And just like that, you left the store? Not much else to say. I said bye to Scott, walked out the back door, and headed to my car. Now that I think about it, I could have sworn I saw Winter's car in the parking lot. Well, actually, I don't know what his car looks like. But there were 3 cars in the parking lot, so who knows? Yes, I agree. From your point of view, I last saw Scott alive. Oh wait, no. What? Oh, we're back at the beginning now. Okay. I want to bring up the fact that there were 3 cars there. How do I do that? One AFK, welcome back. Let's see. Sure, let's present it, see what happens. Nope, it was wrong. Did you miss anything saucy? I forget, actually. Blackmailing a fellow coworker. Okay, no, I thought I was going to be able to bring up the list and see if any... This is not a mod. This is, in fact, a recreation of the Ace Attorney engine in Unity. That was made specifically for this. Let's check this. It is possible. Let's see what happens when we do this. Nope. Huh. Nope. Okay, that's not it either. I'm not sure what else to do here. Maybe if I continue pressing that last one, because that brought up... Yeah, there were more cars in the parking lot than there were people in the store. I want to talk about that. How do I talk about that? No. Damn it. So it's about contradicting. I don't know what to do here. No, I've already tried doing that. I guess we try bringing this up here. I don't fucking know. No, that wasn't right. Maybe I can brute force this puzzle. Nope, it's not that at that moment. Let's try bringing this up. No. I don't know, maybe bringing up the floor plan? I don't know. Nope, that wasn't it. Chat, if you've got any ideas as well, now's the time. Oh, here we go. I'm sorry, Mr. Urker, but that is not true. What do you mean? I clocked out before Scott did. It says on the timesheet. We have been basing a lot of our arguments on the timesheet. But what if it was possible to change the times listed? Go on, Mr. Dwyer. My interest has been piqued. If we look at the timesheet, it clearly says that a manager can change the time. But I'm not a manager. I wouldn't be able to change it. Let me ask you, Mr. Urker, where would you be able to change the times? From the computer in the office. You would have to be logged in as a manager, though. Last time I checked, that computer was logged in, correct? So from what I am hearing, it doesn't matter, manager or not. Someone could change any of the times on the timesheet. Impossible. Oh, by golly, this can't be happening. Order in the court. Mr. Dwyer, explain. If the computer was still logged in, someone could tamper with the times. Could? Could? All of what you've been saying is all theory, Saduel. This court has been a circus for the past 30 minutes. Whose time do you even believe was changed? Just one time is needed to make everything make sense. I think it was Sam. I think it was Sam. Are you an idiot? Both Sam and Gino claim that he left before everyone else. If he really changed the time, what good would it do? It's already before everyone else. Did you think we would believe that? Whose time do you... Okay. Maybe Scott. Ooh. For God's sake, speak English. Or Java. What if Scott was already dead? Someone could just clock him out using the computer, making it seem like he left the building alive and well. Scott Selke never clocked out because he was murdered. He never would if he discovered someone else in the building. I'm tired of waiting, Saduel. Who do you propose killed Mr. Selke? It's about time you stop playing the name game and say them with your own mouth. What? What's going on here? Did something break? It's not frozen because he's still blinking. Maybe if I say, hang on, maybe if I say the name. Well, Sam Winter. I think the game's brokey. I think it brokey. Let's try reloading it. fuck. Peanuts. I think the game's brokey. Yeah, I think the game's brokey. So what we're going to do instead. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to save the rest of this episode for another stream when it's not brokey. And I'm going to set up what we're going to do next, Pokemon Blue. I will be right back.